everybody. It's me, the Einstein on Wall Street. I'm a little raspy today, but it's okay. From the balcony at the New York Stock Exchange, this is Trade Like Einstein. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the day. I've been waiting for this for the longest time. We're in the crossroads of walk and don't walk. Crazy and maybe not so crazy. This is today. Look, I brought you food, fashion, finance, fun. I brought you everything, but I bring you people who have an amazing story, who have broke their ceilings, who have a story to tell, people who have come from one place and are now in a whole. We're looking at the left part of the chart, going all the way to the top. People who are on the trajectory and coming to be the best of they can be. And also people who give back, right? I don't need people who are sitting on the back of their Bugattis flashing all those stacks of $10,000. Not that we don't like money. We know from Mr. E that money doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you freedom. That's all it's all about. So today I'm bringing you Danny Cortes. This gentleman, he is a gentleman, first of all, and above most, but truly an amazing Renaissance artist. It's incredible. You never know when you meet somebody, when you hear their story, where they came from, where they are, and where they're going, and we're going to get a lowdown. We're going to get the down low on all that kind of stuff. Danny, welcome to the Stock Exchange.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing, amazing.
Finally, we did it. My brother.
It's been a while. Just to start off, Danny's work is displayed in the big board art hall, which just got written up. My English is a little strange, right? As the most exclusive new private gallery in the world by Art Newspaper. So check that out in Danny's work. Now, not only, look, we've got a lot of artists up there who've done stuff about finance. Danny made a piece which is the facade, a miniature version of the facade of the New York Stock Exchange. That is iconic. Right where we are, we're in the balcony outside where the facade, this is it.
Yes,
you realize how close we are to where you just made that piece?
I feel like I'm living in it right
You
now.
are living in
it.
We are in the piece. How crazy is that? Yeah, so I'm honored. I'm so happy that you're here, man. Money News Network. We're going to tell the story today. So tell me about you. Go back to the beginning. Where were you born?
So, as a New York City kid, born in Brooklyn, the Bushwick section of Brooklyn, and just like every kid, you know, a dreamer, lived in these violent, negative environments, but it was a sense of community, and that's what started the whole artistic way subliminally, you know, like passing by these icebox, these bodegas, the same cracked sidewalks from coming home from school.
But already, even as a youngster, you were noticing that? I mean, so you grew up, what'd your old man do?
My old man, he was a welder. Yes, he was a welder in Puerto Rico. And I
you were
lived
born here?
I was born here.
So
I was
first generation.
Yeah, first generation.
Families from Puerto Rico.
Families from Puerto Rico.
All right.
And and
mom, dad, good beginning?
Oh, mom was a homemaker. Yeah, my dad, you know, they split and goes to Puerto Rico, starts his welding stuff.
How many brothers and sisters?
3 brothers.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. But you were already on the streets of New York.
On the streets of New York City, soaking up all this awesome era. That it was the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Just
so you
all
got
that
graffiti, New York, drugs, violence.
Everything's around you. That family, community, and it's tight. Yes. So
and Spanish community in New York, right?
Yes.
El barrio, right, is serious, right? Well, even though there's all this stuff pulling it apart,
there's
the sense
a
of
village.
Community is severe.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. So the same thing goes on in Bushwick, just like that. And I was always attracted to, you know, so at the Saturday morning cartoons or after school cartoons, I was always attracted to the background of the commercials. So, you know, you watch these cartoons, the companies would try to sell you the action figure.
Of course.
But I wasn't so in love with the action figure, which I liked it, but it was something about the dioramas that is always caught me. So I asked my mom, can you buy me that fire escape or that jungle?
Wow.
They're like, son,
really?
they don't
Back then, they don't sell that.
They don't sell that.
Right, so it was the advocacy. That was something, not to interrupt you, but that was something for me that really excited me too. I may not need the toy or watch the cartoon, but I was interested in the advertising. For me, the branding. That was really powerful
it was,
for me.
Exactly.
So that was what really
it was catching me.
Oh my God.
Yes,
look
at that. So,
Mom, buy me the fire escape.
Fire escape. No, everybody wants the G.I. Joe, the Transformer, and all this. So I just wanted the background stuff. So what I did was I collected my empty cereal boxes. I started collecting them. And I taped them together, and I'll paint little miniature bricks, and I would just go off for hours of imagination. Remember, this is no social media. No, this is like 6, 7 years old.
Wow.
This is like that. Like, there's no social media,
Yeah, of
so
course not. There was
our
nothing.
imagination was just going for hours, and it was fun. It was amazing, a great time. I have no complaints of my childhood, even though my mom didn't have much, but it was the best time of my life, you know?
Wow, I love that.
And
we were
fast
just talking
forward-
about Ron English, right? And Frosted
yes.
Flakes, right? Think about that. I mean, I don't know how old you all are, but for me, if you go back to that, right, the things that were so impressed. Think about it. I remember when there were 6 TV stations, right? And I'm not that friggin' old. Let's be clear. We had Channel 2 CBS, NBC, Channel 4, Channel 7 ABC. Then you had like Channel 9 and 11, right?
Yeah,
the cartoons
you
were
had
on
to
9
click
and
it,
11.
clack, clack,
and you
clack,
clicked like that. And then you had an antenna on top that you had to move around to get the station,
And
right?
if you wanted the Spanish station, you had to click it onto you,
That's
and
right.
then you click
That
the
was
top
Univision,
button,
right?
Univision,
Exactly.
and
I
then
know.
you could get to channel 41 and 47.
So you're 6, 7, 8 years old. You're
Yes.
looking at the backdrop. You're putting together cereal boxes, which was a big thing. So think about it. The advertising age of the 60s, 70s, and 80s,
Yes.
when they were kids were impressionable, right? They were getting, look, one of the downsides to it all was we ended up all eating a lot of crap that we shouldn't have
Yes,
eaten.
yes.
However, the colors, the characters, and the advertising
Pulled
age
us
was
in.
unbelievable.
Yes.
If I didn't do this, that's what I would have done.
Well, the cereal
I wanted to be-
boxes was with that colorful, the fonts and everything. It drove me
and then
to
you could
graffiti.
sometimes you used to be able to cut them. They used to have.
Yes.
Well, think about it. Cracker Jacks. You used to have things inside the cereal
you have
boxes
a
with all
toy.
those miniature things. A toy.
A
exactly.
toy.
That's got to have been impressionable.
But yeah, I remember grabbing out of a Pops. I remember coming out a whole space, a space. How you call it? A spaceship.
Ship. Yeah, yeah,
spaceship.
yeah. Oh, I love
yes,
that.
out of that. But you know, fast forward. You know, growing up. Now you're a teenager. Now,
Okay.
You know, no more toys.
Right,
now you
right.
want sports, and you're hanging out with the cool kids, and you want to do graffiti, and you
Right,
want to
right.
do all this stuff. That's
You
around.
already had,
I was
not
already-
only as a builder, but did you have sort of a sense of
Yes, because
of painting art type
you know,
of
growing
stuff?
up in the ghetto, so to
Right.
say, hip hop is all around.
Right.
You know, so there's a cousin with graffiti. There's a DJ always on the block.
Right.
There's always a break dancer,
Right.
and there was a rapper. Like
What an
it was
amazing
all
era.
it was somebody that you knew. It was doing something.
Yeah.
So either you dancing, or you're rapping, or you're doing
you're
graffiti, or
painting,
you're
or you-
DJing,
yeah,
or you're
exactly.
doing something.
Yeah.
So you know, but I was into sports. I played baseball. I played high
when
school
you came in
ball.
today, I was sitting there. I could just see you, boom, hitting it out of the freaking park.
You know, so that was what kept me aligned. Thanks to shout out to all the coaches out there that kept me in straight line. You know, for my
'Cause
childhood.
You know what? Look, there was a time in the hood, right, where you were at the crossroads, where you either went one way, which
Yeah,
is the dark
absolutely,
side, or
absolutely.
you went the other way. It was either sports, art, or whatever you got into that made you keep on track. And it was usually 1 or 2 people that kept you. And I grew up in a privileged environment, right? But still, it was the same way because there were periods where I went.
Yeah, of
I took
course,
the
of
detour,
course. That's
and I
everywhere.
went down that wrong
That's
road.
any New
But
York
it
City
was-
kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what's important is and I know that Danny is probably already a mentor to new young artists and people who are following him. That's what we can do when we give back. When
Absolutely.
we find a journey and we're on it and we're starting to do some serious good stuff. So there were a couple of guys along the way who kept you on the straight and
Yeah,
narrow.
absolutely. And these people, I tip my hat to them because these coaches, these parents, you know, they have their own family.
Yeah.
And they're taking time out of right after work to pick up 10 kids from the hood, put them in a van,
back
take them
of
to
a
the
station
park,
wagon.
feed them. Yeah, exactly.
And go play
feed
ball.
them, practice them, and keep them out of trouble. I salute you guys, and I've learned and I appreciate it. But that's what I do now is pass
That's what you
the
do.
torch. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, I didn't stay in the fine line, you know.
Okay,
I was doing good, but then you know,
Yeah,
so it's like a
we all do
graph. It
that.
gets their points, and then it starts going like this, and up, down. So
That's
my
okay,
graph
it's
was
part
like
of the
this.
journey.
It was go up, and then I hit a
Did you hit a crash?
very
You crashed.
crash because God said, my son, you can't go. You know better than this, and He humbled me.
Yeah, he did.
So
Okay.
I lost everything in this past that I
How
thought
old were you
I
at that
was. Mid-30s.
Okay.
Not too long ago. Not too long ago.
All right. And you lost everything.
Everything. I'm back at my mom's house.
You made a couple bad decisions,
divorce,
got in
bad
with some bad
decisions.
people.
The opportunity.
Were you
was
doing
there.
art already?
No, I was
You
there was
were
no art.
just-
No, I was
okay.
working regular jobs, whatever I can feed the family with,
Right, okay,
and then I have an opportunity to do street stuff.
Right.
You know?
Okay,
So I went on this route. I took
Right.
the detour, the worst detour ever, but it taught me something.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for that detour, I would not have been here talking to my boy Einstein right here
you
in
know
Wall
what?
Street.
Sometimes it takes what it takes.
It
you know, the
prepares
bottom
for
line.
life.
And look, we end up hitting the bottom. Sometimes when you look, your bottom is when you stop digging, right?
That's right.
That's the bottom line. And sometimes it takes you getting to that point. We do that when we talk about trading. When something goes down in a fast and furious way and hits support, whatever that is, it may be spiritual, it may be God, it may be you get humbled.
Yeah.
That's when you stop digging, and that's your time to start to shine.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got humbled. You got
So
your
I
ass
got
kicked.
humbled. I killed the ego. I'm back at my mom's
Easing
house.
God out. That's what ego's all about. There you go,
Easy
man.
got out. So I'm back at my mom's house in Bedford-Stuyvesant in a little
In your
corner
30s.
in my 30s with nothing. All those friends that I took care of and
They don't
they
even
were
remember
celebrating
your
with
number.
the champagne and we're here in the clubs having fun. Disappeared
even
like when
know
you
you.
turn on the lights and all the roaches scattered.
Yep.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what happened.
yeah.
So I'm alone. I'm back at mom's house. And I was cleaning the room. Now we're in a pandemic, so now it's even wild.
Right.
So I was cleaning the room. That week, I became a chef. I was I binge watched
whatever
every
you had
show.
to do.
So I was learning everything. I came across these in my social media. I came across these people making these awesome dioramas, miniatures, and
So
I was
this
like,
is March 2020. Give or take.
2020, yes. So, like, a little before that, on the crash, like I wanted to start doing miniatures, but I wasn't really focused because of life.
Right.
And so now I took it personally, very spiritually, as chaotic as the pandemic was. I took it like if it was for me, on some, let's say, there's no excuse to go outside. There's no work.
You were forced to focus.
I was forced to
You know who
focus,
Warren
and
Buffett,
I was blessed
you know
for
who
that.
Warren Buffett is?
Yes.
Warren Buffett is the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, one of the biggest companies in the world.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just saw a thing the other day. He just stepped down after 55 years.
Wow.
Okay, as being CEO. And there was a young kid who walked into a room one day, and there was Bill Gates, right, the guy who started Microsoft, guy who started Apple, guy who and Warren Buffett. And they asked all three of them, all billionaires, people who have built companies that have affected our lives in such a huge way. And they said, if you had one thing that is what defined you and helped you go down that journey, what was it? It was focus.
Focus.
So you're saying that, well, you know what? Sometimes it takes what it takes to get you into that
Yes.
focus, right? And for you, it was the pandemic.
It was the pandemic.
You were in the
There was
basement
no
looking, there was nothing else.
excuse. There was
all the
no
other shit,
excuse.
all the noise was gone.
All the noise was gone.
Right.
And I'm focused and I'm making these pieces and I'm feeling good about myself. I don't feel no depression. I don't feel no anxiety. I don't feel pressure.
Right, cool.
The outside, there's, like you said, no
It's
noise.
quiet, right,
No
quiet.
noise.
The noise stopped.
It just felt good.
Sometimes
and
we
if this
hear it in
makes
here.
sense, I couldn't wait. Of course, you have to go to sleep because you have to. But I couldn't wait to wake up to work on a piece.
Yeah.
And that was the feeling. And plenty of times in this small bedroom in Bedford-Stuyvesant, I felt my body like I could see myself working.
Ooh,
that's the flow state.
That's the spiritual awakening,
I
man.
was like, I want more. I want
Amazing.
more. I didn't care about $1.
I'm getting goosebumps on
Me
that
too.
shit, right?
Me too. Look at that. So it was just it felt so great and I would
That's the feeling you should all be searching for, is the feeling that you can't wait to wake up to do it again.
That's the feeling.
I've been around for a long time, 137 years, and I wake up with a little bit of butterflies in my stomach. That's
Yes.
good. That means you're about to do some epic shit.
Yes,
Don't
you're
think
still
that
excited.
the butterflies mean that you are not good enough or smart enough or good looking enough. No, it means you're about to change up the shit.
That's right.
That's the feeling that you should be searching for. Find something you love to do that you can't wait to wake up to do it again. You just put it in work.
Yeah.
'Cause I love that. That's going to be my tab. Stealing that.
Ooh,
Tag
there
on
we
now.
go.
Not okay. So you couldn't wake up. Go.
So we there. So I'm keep working. I didn't think about $1. It was so innocent. It was pure heart, and I was like working on these pieces, and in my mind, instead of like throwing it out there, like manifesting,
Right.
I was manifesting mentally.
Yeah.
I was seeing a white wall and a light, white wall and a night. When I'm working on the piece, a
Right.
white wall and a light. What that represented, I didn't know at the time,
Right.
but it was gallery.
Okay.
It was get to the space.
Yeah,
And this beautiful space. You got me the most famous, the most exclusive gallery in the world. I'm here. You know, I was manifesting all that. And so that's when the gallery started calling.
What was the first piece you made?
The first piece I made was an ice box.
Okay.
Right? And it was
from an apartment icebox, or was it?
No.
Like,
the bodega icebox.
Bodega
The bodega icebox,
gotcha.
the corner outside pieces, and it was just a
so
scale.
What just so you don't know, Dan, what Danny does
Make
is
the miniatures.
He makes miniatures of things that are in our lives that we sometimes would not notice. Whether it's an old ice machine that you see outside a bodega, whether it's the facade on the inside of a bodega, whether it's a New York City phone, a New York City mailbox, a New York City where the Con Ed guys keep their tools. Yeah. Those little things that are so much ingrained in us, that are part of our lives that you pass by and you wouldn't even notice. And sometimes now they're part of our past because they're not on every corner.
And then we miss it when they're gone.
There's no phone booths left in New York except the one on 100, maybe two. There's one on 100 and First, my block. And West End Avenue, there's one there. I go in there sometimes just to hang. It used to be my office back in the day when I was doing the street shit.
So we're rocking. And then
she started making pieces.
Yeah. So my mom says, "Hey, this is something that she would like." She was always proud of everything. Of course, I'm her son, but she always was upset of choices that I made in life. But this time, when she walked in the room and see me, she's like, "You made that? Wow, you're good. Wow, no, I can't believe you made that."
I know, because it is unbelievable. I look at them.
And she's like, "Well, you should create a social media, like, you know, put it on Facebook, put it on every platform." Right. And I was like, "You think so? Okay, let me make an account." And I started posting it. People was asking me how much. I was selling them for like, I didn't even know how to price to sell them because they didn't care about the money. It was like, all right, I'm having fun. So now I felt like if I put a price on this, now I'm gonna be obligated to make these
do
pieces.
It again. That's right.
But I was like, hey, what am I doing right now? So let's make a few bucks. I could get some lunch and I'm good. And I had fun making it. So I make the street pole from DeKalb and Knickerbocker Avenue. I made the street pole exactly. I challenged myself. I want to make it exactly to the T.
So it's a light pole on a corner.
On a corner.
Corner, walk and don't walk. That's where we started.
So when I make this piece, what I did was every miniature artist is always behind. You see their hands only, or you don't really see the physical. So all I did was I flipped the camera and showed the world that I am the artist holding the piece, and it boom. So I must have had like 100 views in 30 minutes, right? I think that was the most views I ever had. Next thing you know, I checked in the next 15 minutes just for fun. And I'm seeing all these notifications going click, 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 click.
Amazing.
I had like 200,000, then it went to 500,000, then 1 million, then 2 million. They kept snowballing. I'm like, whoa, this is getting huge.
This is big.
DMs, how many, how much? And then all the fan mail about the memories I gave them. I came from that block. I live over here now. So I was like, wait a second. Now they're connecting on a different level. Now it's nostalgic that I'm doing for these people. So now it's only art. I'm connecting with them spiritually, emotionally. I'm giving them an emotion, a feeling. Memories.
I mean, that's amazing. And you know, we are moving so fast, right? And time doesn't stop, right? It doesn't stand still, and we're moving. And so much of that's what defined us in so many ways, in good ways and in bad ways. Going back to the corner, right? Thinking about that was the bodega, whether it was where you went to get your 40s, where you were going to get your Lucy's, your Lucy's and your 40s, or you were going there to like buy lotto ticket, whatever it was. You know, it doesn't have to be bad things.
He knows.
I've been there, trust me. Buy Lucy's and 40s, man. I've been all over that stuff.
I love it.
But anyway, that feeling now to have it. I mean, I have Danny's work in my house.
Oh man!
Right? I've got a New York City phone. I'm telling you, I literally used to do business. I would set up in New York City. You may not all be from New York City, but in New York City, you had the freestanding phone booths, and then you had the ones where you had a door that folded, and you could go in there. You could also do some crazy shit in there. But it was also where I had my office. You would like write numbers down on the thing, and you could sit in there for hours putting in. You'd go in there with a stack of quarters or dimes. I can remember when it was a dime, right? And you go in there and make your calls. That was my office. Yeah. Where's your office? Corner fucking phone.
You made it happen.
I'm on the corner
but
of 97th and Broadway.
So what happened if that would have not been your office? You would have stood home doing nothing. We would not having this conversation. 100%. See, it's about you got to use whatever's around you.
Exactly.
So just like me, I didn't have money to go to buy these chipboards, right? So I'll go to Blick, I'll have $20, I'll buy a few brushes, a couple paints, that's it. The $20 is gone. On my way walking back to the house in Bed-Stuy, so I'm on Myrtle Avenue, I find a shoebox, Calvin Klein shoebox, and I look at it, I was like, oh wow, I knocked on it, oh wait a second, this is tough.
hard enough to
this is
make
better
something.
than the stuff they're trying to sell me for $30, a big piece. I said, I could make something out of this. I took it home, I chopped it up, I made a dumpster out of it, and that's the first dumpster ever. I still have it, and I got offered a lot of money for this piece. I still have it, but I'm gonna keep that sitting in the vault. I'm gonna keep it on the vault. But it's to show you that I use whatever's around me. I didn't have to go buy the latest airbrush or the latest paints. I use whatever's around. If it was dollar store stuff, I did it.
If you ever watch Shark Tank, right? I love to see how super wealthy people do their thing, and then young people and Renaissance people, and then startup people, and you'll often see when somebody comes on the carpet on Shark Tank, and they'll say that they made one piece to be able to make three pieces. They didn't wait around to get all the money to be able. Oh, I can't do it. I don't have enough. Always excuses, right?
Yeah.
You can live in the world of victim and excuses, or you can just be a doer.
Absolutely.
Right? And the bottom line is, if you can make one piece. If you can't go afford to buy it, you can go out there and search the streets and find it. And you make one piece. That one piece can make me enough money to go out and make three pieces. That's how you do it. Sometimes that's it. Not everybody was born with a silver spoon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Some people were born from down here and have made themselves here, and that's Danny's story. And that is so powerful. Anybody can learn from that tale and that journey, because that's what makes a real special person.
Absolutely, because if I would have been like in the time that on the crash, and I would have just been home crying and
poor me,
why me, then nothing would have happened. I shook all that off. I embraced the pain. I said, this is what I got myself into, and I found my passion. I listened, I felt it, and I ran with it. And we're here today talking about it, and I'm able to live off my art. Now,
today, we're talking. So Danny went from the story I just said, we know pain is the touchstone of spiritual growth. That's what it's all about, right? Okay. And sometimes you get to the bottom, and then the bottom falls out of the bottom. And that's a whole other story. And that happens too. But the bottom line is that's Danny's beginning. And now we're here today at the New York Stock Exchange, the greatest financial institution in the world. His work is in my big board art hall, the most exclusive private gallery in the world, right? I had the honor of finding Danny on social media at a hard time in my life when I was going through shit with COVID and all that time. And it was just like, oh my God, and I come from there's no relationship in our backgrounds except a good family, somebody who went from the high to the lows, dug themselves out of the darkness and came into the light again. Danny's work is now he's had private shows in Belgium, in Paris. You watch him now on social media, from the barrio to traveling the world with his work and hanging out with famous artists, hanging out with us here at the Stock Exchange.
Every media outlet.
The member handicap charity event, right? Anybody who sees his work goes crazy about it. You see him on the street, people know who Danny is, because the work is so meaningful and so amazing. And when you see someone who has done that and realized their dream, right? Dream big, because you never know when your dream is going to be realized.
And dreaming is free.
Exactly.
It's free.
That's one of Saladin's great lines. Dream big, right? Because you never know when your dream is going to be realized. So that's where we're on now. So over the last couple of years, so there was still a struggle as you start getting, as you grow and things, you're making pieces. And the interesting thing is there's no way to mass produce Danny Cortes. You're still making all your pieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're working 24/7.
Yeah, we're working.
Shout out to our man.
Shout out to him, man.
Eddie's got
if I didn't have Ed, I don't know what I would do.
Together, exactly. Right. And Eddie is one persistent man, because he kept on me to get this thing going. So I kept on him too. But that's
what you need. People like that around you to remember. A drop of water will make a hole on a rock. Consistency. That drop of water will definitely make a hole on that rock. Consistency is the key. Consistency.
Persistence.
Okay.
Resilience. all that stuff, and to think that, so, you know, I'm a team player too, and
Yes.
I know that about you, right? You surround yourself with good people who empower you,
Yes.
who raise you up. You don't want to be around people who are pulling on you, envy you, and jealous of you. That doesn't lead anywhere good, right? But at the same time, when you get to a good level, then that you can go on and inspire and mentor other people.
Absolutely.
Give them back.
We give it
It's
back.
all- that's it.
I'm
What it's
a
all
board
about.
member right now for the Christian Rivera Foundation. Also is for kids that are diagnosed with DIPG.
Okay.
And
What's DIPG?
DIPG is a form of a
Mental
rare
illness?
cancer
Okay,
that
really?
attacks the kids that it's from like 2 months to like 10 years old.
Okay.
And it attacks their stem. The stem in their
Right,
brain, and
stem.
it keeps them droopy eyes. It's a bad cancer, terrible
Wow.
cancer, and
Okay.
it wipes them out quick.
Wow.
So we're trying to find cures for that, and anything with my art that I could use my platform to raise awareness and raise money.
Right.
I'm all for it.
Amazing.
You know.
So now what's happened? I know this year has been about a lot of new shows, solo shows all over the world. Give me the last 6 months. Where's that? Where's
Last
that
6
been?
months. Toyota, MLB, commercial, Paris, Belgium.
So solo
Art
shows,
Basel, solo shows we
all
do
over the
coming up.
world, right?
Yes.
In Paris and Belgium, which is huge. I mean, think about that. That wouldn't have happened unless Eddie, persistence, resilience,
Yeah.
and keep going. And his work is so special. So solo shows. Now, what about the collabs? Because that takes, it's funny. We go on this journey, right? I'm seeing that too. Going out and getting companies who want to work with you on stuff, that's really special too.
Yeah.
These are huge corporations
Yes.
that are ponying up with, give me a couple of the
man.
collabs. What'd you do with Toyota?
Toyota, so I made this for a campaign for Forerunner called Forerunner Landia. So
Okay, it's a new one of their new cars.
new cars, 2025 Forerunner, and they are giving you a chance to win a 2025 Forerunner
Right.
and your own piece of land.
No, wow, really?
So
wow, what a
that's
concept.
for the first time
so,
ever
and
Toyota's
that's the
doing
piece
that.
where you built in the trunk.
Right.
You
So
built a
it was like-
diagram in the trunk.
It said, Danny, if you was to have a piece of land, how would
What
it look like?
Oh, no
so
way. And
we
that's what you
designed
built
it
in the
and we
back
put it
of
in
the
the
car?
trunk. Right.
That is crazy.
So check the link in my bio on my Instagram.
Is
sign
it in
up.
there? We can see a picture of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my
yeah.
God, that's
and just
amazing.
click on the
Oh,
link on the top Forerunner Landia and you can join.
check that out.
Check it
What
out.
about
Register.
MLB?
MLB was shooting a MLB Latino commercial.
Right.
It was like a mini doc commercial.
Okay.
For like I'm making some dollhouse miniatures,
Right.
but the lives of 5 players in the major league, like Vladimir Guerrero, Acuna,
Spanish players.
yes, Lindor,
Yeah.
Tatis
Oh my God, that's
Jr.
amazing.
It's amazing. So one scene will be in Cuba, in the streets of Cuba.
Right.
One scene is a kitchen from Dominican Republic,
Right.
a living room
This is
from.
amazing. This
So
is
I'm
amazing.
getting paid to do
What
I
you
love.
to do. God is good. It's a
God is
beautiful
great.
day. I
God is
love
great.
this. Anyway, you got to see. Check out Danny Cortes on Instagram, on all the other platforms. You also giving back. That's amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? And this is just the beginning of the journey.
It's just the beginning.
This has happened. Think about it. Since COVID, so we're talking 5 years out. You have gone from being in your basement with nothing, virtually homeless, right? And you
Yeah.
now are traveling
We
the world.
did
doing
Sotheby's
what you want.
twice.
Sotheby's. Tell
We
me
went
about
from
Sotheby's.
so I got the call on a DM on Instagram. Monica Lynch, shout out to Monica Lynch that worked in Sotheby's,
Right.
and she shoots me a DM. We set up a call. She tells me, we know that you have what it takes to showcase with us,
Right.
and sell with us.
So have
And-
they auctioned off pieces?
Yeah, absolutely,
Stop.
absolutely,
Really? Which
yeah.
piece did you auction
We
off
did
at Sotheby's?
the big piece with that looks like the Bronx is burning. We did an ice box. We did the Mr. Softy. We did a few pieces of bodegas.
You realize that is
Yeah,
a publicly
and
no
I was
longer
only
publicly
I was
traded.
only a year and a half doing it.
when you work
When-
with Sotheby's.
Absolutely, and
That is crazy.
I called my friends. I was like, I didn't know what was a Sotheby. I didn't know
Right,
that.
what is it?
So all my friends that went to school, art schools and everything, I'm like, yo, listen,
I'm getting called by Sotheby's.
Sotheby's won us some art.
My,
What is that? They're
And
like,
they
dude.
must have been blowing
like,
your mind.
what?
Are
Who
you
just called you?
serious?
Can you just repeat that again? I'm like, Sotheby's? I think it's
Yeah. No idea what it was.
Sotheby's? Yeah. And they're like, dude, you're going to the Super Bowl,
That's
to the
right.
Grammys, to the
Of art,
Oscars of
you
the
realize
art.
that Sotheby's sells last year. Sotheby's probably sold $500 million worth of art.
Sotheby's
Right.
is older than America as a country. It's old.
possible.
Yeah.
They were a publicly traded company. They sell $100 million paintings of Basquiat,
Yes,
Matisse, Monet,
yes.
old classics, new classics, street art, crazy.
Yes.
To be in Sotheby's,
Yeah.
that's
So
next level.
that's that. Remember when I was saying the white wall?
Yeah,
The light, white
that was
wall.
Sotheby's. That was the manifestation.
You know, so that's what working. I'm a big believer when you do something you love, the rest,
Yeah.
everything will just connect.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If you think about $1, then the art won't mean anything. Just work from the heart. It's
Yeah.
gonna everything will align. Trust me. Just one more day. One more day. Just trust me.
So, you know what? This is still just the beginning of the journey. You and I have a lot of work to do. We're going to do
What?
some great things.
Yes, we are.
We're going to do some great things. And
Awesome.
I'm moved by this. I'm blown away by this, the work you've done, who you have become. And you know what? It's not even because you were that person always. Sometimes,
Always.
right?
You know,
As
we
long-
just hit a couple of bumps down the road.
Exactly. You know what? It's a pebble in your shoe, a bump in the road. You keep moving.
You keep moving.
Right? Look, nobody goes uphill. Coasting is not about uphill. You never coast through this life. And nobody gets out of here alive. And that's all I got to say about that. Danny Cortes, kicking butt on the miniatures. Check him out.
Let's go.
On Insta, traveling the world, doing what he loves to do. Check that out. It's amazing. My man. Boom. And that's all I got to say about that.
Whoa.